Community Watch, Neighborhood Watch, Block Watch, Crime Watch. These are names attached to something as simple as a group of neighbors working together to form a safer environment. For centuries, neighbors have looked out for each other. When a family's barn burned down, it was the neighbors, the community, who came to help the owner rebuild. It was a neighbor who gave a helping hand with chores when sickness struck. It was neighbors helping each other, looking after one another, that helped make our country strong. But slowly, over the past century, increased mobility, the struggle to make ends meet, and 100 other reasons have caused people to stop taking time to know their own neighbors. And the resulting loss of caring communities has been a major factor in a nationwide increase in crime. By the 1960s, the crime had grown to such proportions that law enforcement in many areas of the country had to come up with answers. In 1972, the National Sheriff's Association developed the first model for a crime watch program. It was clearly effective, lowering the rate of crime, such as burglary, as much as 75%. A simple thing, like neighbors looking out for each other, a community watch, can substantially reduce many types of crime for your neighborhood, too. Establishing a watch program doesn't mean the people involved are put on guard duty. It means they take ownership of the place they live. They become the eyes and ears of law enforcement, and they help friends and neighbors when they need it. If you're interested in starting such a program, then listen along with me to Rita. She recently started a community watch in her neighborhood. See for yourself what's involved in bringing the benefits of a watch program to the place you live and work.
Hi, I'm the block captain for the community watch in my neighborhood. I know the title makes it sound like I'm part of the military or the police, but really, captain is just the term they use to describe the person in a leadership position on a community watch. You see, as I saw crime increasing in my neighborhood, I was the one who decided to take the first step in doing something about it. I'd heard of community watches before, so I thought I would look into what was involved in setting one up here.
Well, I went to the police station to get some information. They were really helpful. They told me a community watch not only helps reduce crime, but it improves the day-to-day life of a neighborhood as well, by encouraging people to work together to solve their problems. Anyway, I was amazed to find out it only required a minimum commitment. So that cinched it for me right then and there. I decided I would do it. Deputy Miller gave me all the necessary information to begin, and believe it or not, I really have had fun making it happen.
Now that I'm block captain, there are certain things I do. One of my most important responsibilities is to maintain and distribute watch member information. I serve as the contact between the police and the block group. It saves the police time because they can contact me regarding any information that needs to get out to the neighborhood.
Keeping the block map up to date is another job I have. The map contains pertinent information about each household. For instance, it indicates that Mrs. Perez is confined to a wheelchair. So in the event of an emergency, someone from our group checks in on her.
Another of my duties is coordinating vacation home checks. I think these are great. I mean, knowing our homes are being looked after when we're away lets us all really relax and enjoy our vacations more. And our group set up a special check-in program for the elderly on the block, too. One of us calls or stops by on a daily basis to see how they're doing. The other day, when I was passing the Latimer's house on my walk, Mrs. Latimer called me over to let me know how much she and her husband appreciate it when one of us checks in on her mother down the street.
And my favorite job as block captain is to greet new neighbors. I know it makes them feel welcome. And they're always so relieved to find out that we have a watch program here. I give them all the necessary information they need to get involved.
You see, everyone on our block shares responsibility for making the program work. Not just me. It takes all of us. You know, before we had a formal watch going here, we used to call the police for all kinds of things, like
Oh, loud music and rambunctious kids. Now we just talk those things out. We like being able to solve our problems together. And I'm sure the police are happy to know we're not going to be calling them the next time a dog barks at 3 a.m. or something. As a matter of fact, it was a police officer who attended our first block meeting and helped us learn what we should be reporting. Things that really could lead to a crime or even be a crime in progress. Because that's our biggest responsibility as a group, reporting suspicious activity to the local law enforcement. And now that we're reporting the right things, the police know what we're really dealing with here.
Petty crimes and nuisance problems, loud neighbors, illegal parking, loitering, vandalism, affect the way we see our neighborhood. They affect property values and help determine who will be attracted to live in our community. They have a more immediate impact on our lives than, say, murder, rape, or even robbery. And don't get me wrong, these major crimes can't be ignored, but it's the nuisance problems and petty crimes that have a greater impact on the quality of our lives. As Rita has told you, watch programs address both issues. So let's get back to her and find out what she did to get her program started.
You know, getting the watch started was a lot easier than I thought it would be. I asked Deputy Miller how many people we should have in the group, and he told me there are usually about 10 families in a neighborhood watch. Just a small, comfortable number that can easily work together. He also said that in our situation, we should be able to see every home from any home on the block.
In some communities, the closest neighbor may be a mile or more down the road, but these neighbors can still set up a watch group. In fact, because of the isolation, these people really need to look out for each other. In apartment and office buildings, a watch will normally consist of a floor. In business districts, watches can consist of a block of businesses or a group of businesses united by some other geographical division. The point is, the best sized group for a watch is one that's comfortable for its members. Now let's get back to Rita.
After I visited the police station, I went to each of my neighbors and explained that I thought we should start a watch program. And of course I told them why. Then I asked them what would be the best time for us to meet as a group at my house and discuss it. Before leaving, I made sure to give them a family watch information sheet to fill out. This form shows who's in their family, their phone number, the kind of vehicle they drive, the pets they have, and any special medical problems we should be aware of in the event of an emergency. The information is used to prepare that block map I told you about, a profile sheet, and a telephone tree to hand out at the first meeting. But I'll tell you more about those 3 forms in a minute. Anyway, after I made that initial contact with all my neighbors, I invited Deputy Miller to help with the first meeting. Then, about a week beforehand, I picked up the completed watch forms and delivered an announcement reminding everyone when to come to my house. You know, there was one woman who was a little reluctant at first to complete her form. Can't say as I blame her. Anyone who doesn't feel comfortable about sharing information shouldn't be pushed, but it is important that everyone share as much information as they can, because it helps the members of the watch to recognize suspicious activity and report it. Actually, her reluctance made me realize that some people might not feel comfortable getting to know the others at our first meeting, and I better keep it on the short side. Everyone signed in, and of course I tried to make them feel as welcomed as possible. It wasn't too hard because I'd already met most of them or seen them around the neighborhood before. Once they were settled, I thanked everyone for coming and called the meeting to order. Some people didn't know each other, so I asked everyone to introduce themselves and to tell where they lived. Though I'd already mentioned it to most of them, I briefly explained why it was a good idea to have the meeting and gave a short definition of what a watch program is. Then, because the first meeting is perfect for electing the block captain and co-captains or asking for volunteers to fill those positions, we had a vote. Since I'd set everything up this far, everyone decided to elect me captain for the first year. So my first official job as block captain was to introduce the officer I'd invited, Deputy Miller. He told us about some of the crimes we should watch out for, about the scams going on locally. He even told us what was going on outside the neighborhood and recommended things we could do to keep those problems from reaching us. Before adjourning, I handed out the 3 sheets I'd prepared from the Family Watch information forms, and we decided on the next time to meet. I've already told you a little about the block map. It shows where each home is located on your block and offers some basic information about the residents: their names, their address and phone number, even the color of their house. Any information which helps emergency vehicles locate the house faster when needed. It also shows cross streets and nearby streets, as well as a compass indicating the direction houses face. The block map is a terrific reference for contacting neighbors regarding any community activity, in addition to reporting emergencies and suspicious activities to 911. Now, the profile sheet is a more detailed record of the families who live in your watch area. It includes information such as work schedules, emergency phone numbers, types of vehicles, and health information. Each watch group member should also have a telephone tree, listing all the members' phone numbers along with instructions for who to call when suspicious activity occurs. Our group sometimes uses the phone tree to share general neighborhood information, too. You know, my duties as block captain don't take much time, because the families in our neighborhood work together as a team. As I said, we share the responsibility between us. I really enjoy working with these people. They're just great. And together, we feel like we're doing something to make our community safe. If my family should move away anytime soon, I have no doubt that the block co-captain would be right there to step up and fill in as block captain until the group elected someone new. Needless to say, we're all very proud of ourselves for forming our block watch. When we posted our first community watch sign, some of us said it was like posting a Declaration of Independence. We felt like we were declaring our freedom from crime and fear of crime. And we knew we were creating a good place to raise our children, a place where our elders could live in safety. We were so inspired, we made it a neighborhood event. We even had a picnic at my place afterward.
Getting to know your neighbors is probably the most important part of a successful watch program. It allows you to respond quickly and provide accurate information in an emergency. There are many instances where people knowing their neighbors has saved lives, like a man confined to a wheelchair being rescued by neighbors when they were all forced to evacuate because of a fire, or children being rescued from a home with barred windows because a neighbor knew the children were sleeping there when a fire broke out. So whether you live in an apartment complex, a college environment, a rural community, the inner city, or even a marina, follow the simple guidelines Rita talked about to set up a watch program where you live and help increase safety and livability in your neighborhood. You know, when you work together as a team, you're always stronger than you could ever be alone. Your watch program can become a voice for expressing concerns about zoning and planning. At meetings, you can address matters such as personal or child safety, gun safety. You may wish to talk about safety tips for kids who babysit or for senior citizens. Together, you can determine what to do to secure a home when going on vacation, or how to protect your home from vandalism and fire. Choosing and installing locks or alarms can sometimes be difficult and time-consuming. A member of your group can learn what's available and distribute the information at a meeting. If it's appropriate to your community, you can invite a local law enforcement officer to talk to your group about the increasing problem of neighborhood gangs and what can be done about it. Fraud and con games impact not only senior citizens, but younger people too. It's important to know how to protect yourself from these predators, and local police will be glad to update you on this. Invite someone to talk about first aid or CPR. And don't be afraid to talk about sensitive issues like child neglect and domestic violence. There are experts in these areas in every community who can talk to your group. Then, of course, there are the disasters that we never seem to talk about until they've happened, like floods, earthquakes, and tornadoes. Wouldn't it be nice to know what to do and have a plan of action in place before the unexpected happens?
Being a block captain has shown me how important a watch program can be in protecting the quality of life for a neighborhood. Setting one up and maintaining it requires a certain commitment, but just a few hours a year is all it takes. Just a few hours. And those hours can make a big difference. They can provide you and your neighbors with a safer and friendlier place to live and work. I know they have in mine.
The crime problem didn't just happen. It has taken years to develop. And along the way, we've lost communities one neighborhood at a time. Some have been taken over by crime completely. If we're ever going to take those neighborhoods back, we'll have to do it the same way they were lost, one at a time. And the most important factor in doing so, people reclaiming ownership of the place they live and work.
Watching over me. Newfangled signs talking about the old times when people got together in all kinds of weather. Some days the songs short and some long. This is where children belong. I said, what does that sign say? I said, what does that sign say? What does that sign say? It says community watch. He's watching over me.